Weather brief. Valid. 16th September 2025. It's mid-September, which in the southeast means lingering high humidity, increasingly frequent convective activity, and elevated moisture content in the atmosphere. Quantitative precipitable water, PWAT, often near or above the 95th percentile when deep moisture returns. The large-scale flow pattern, a cutoff low, mid-level, is centered over the southeastern US, with mid-level ridging to the east over the western Atlantic. This establishes a somewhat stalled pattern with weak forcing over Florida, while Georgia is more under influence of peripheral effects, short waves, weaker convergence. Florida. A frontal boundary is stalled over the Florida Straits to our south. South Florida remains just on the warm, moist side of that boundary. The front isn't progressing strongly yet. Aloft, there's a cutoff low over the region, plus an approaching mid-level shortwave, which will tend to amplify troughing over the eastern seaboard. This amplifying trough will help increase ascent and weaken suppression aloft. Moisture. PWAT values are increasing. For South Florida, by this afternoon, expect PWATs around 1.9 to 2.1 inches, which is above climatology. By midweek, these may climb into the 2.1 to 2.3 inch range. Nearer the front, moisture pooling will be enhanced. Impacts. This means higher probability of showers and thunderstorms during the afternoon and evening today, particularly inland where sea breeze, boundaries, and outflow interactions can trigger convection. Expect coverage of 40 to 60% this afternoon, much more than yesterday. Some storms may produce strong to marginally severe wind gusts, around 45 to 55 miles per hour in isolated cases, especially where dry mid-levels allow downdraft potential. There is a risk of heavy rainfall in a short period if convective training storms moving over the same areas occurs, particularly in urban or coastal metro zones. Localized flooding is a concern. Georgia, north and central. Georgia operates under a different part of the pattern. The coastal low off the Carolinas, plus weak short waves rotating around the parent low, interacting with diurnal heating, will be the main drivers for possible convection. Moisture is more limited. Surface dew points near 60 degrees Fahrenheit this afternoon. PWATs relatively modest, around 1.2 to perhaps 1.3 inches, much less than over Florida. Instability, mucopy, will be low to moderate, approximately 250 to 750 joules per kilogram in favorable areas, but mid-level lapse rates are poor, approximately 5.5 degrees Celsius per kilometer or less, and warm layers above approximately 500 millibars will suppress strong updrafts. Shear is also weak, 0 to 6 kilometer shear, approximately 10 to 20 knots. All this suggests that while showers or thunderstorms are possible, significant severe weather is unlikely. Peak chance for showers, thunderstorms in Georgia will be this afternoon, especially mountains of northeast Georgia. Into evening, approximately 1 p.m. to approximately 9 p.m., local in those more favored zones. Elsewhere, chances drop off. Probability of precipitation, POP, is highest in the mountains, approximately 30 to 35%, and lower, 20% or less, closer to Atlanta and central Georgia. Florida is essentially entering a transitional regime from a relatively suppressed convective environment, dry, aloft, to a moister, more unstable regime thanks to deepening moisture, increase in PWAT, the approach dot amplification of a mid-level trough/shortwave. The stalled frontal boundary, feeding moisture and providing low-level convergence. Sea breeze and outflow boundaries, serving as mesoscale triggers. For Georgia, the pattern is more subtle. Peripheral moisture wrapping around a coastal low, weak short waves, diurnal heating, and orographic, chalk's lapsing effects will be the local enhancers. But the lack of strong upper-level divergence, poor lapse rates, and weak shear limit both convective potential and severity. Over Florida, late afternoon into evening flights, be alert for possible convective buildups, gusty outflow winds, turbulence in and around thunderstorm anvils, heavy rainfall that can reduce visibility, and possible low ceilings cumulus overspreading. Storm motion will be slow, meaning cells might hover or train, increasing risk over certain corridors. Over Georgia, expect mostly VFR conditions, but localized thunderstorms in the mountains may trigger brief reductions in ceilings/vis, gusty winds, possibly turbulence. Overnight could see light rain and undulation in low cloud decks near higher terrain.